Express Nation. It is week 7. I'm your host, Charles Simmons. And I'll go ahead and say this. I'm sorry about the audio quality. I'm having some issues with my mic, so I'm having to use a spare, and it's not giving out the best quality. So I will apologize for that. Now, this episode will be a little shorter compared to the rest. Just got a slam pack week. But first off the slate, I want to go ahead and talk about some fraudulent teams. Some teams that should have never been ranked as high as they were. And I'm also going to be victim of ranking these teams coming into the season as highly ranked teams. Texas, Penn State. Both teams I considered being top 10 worthy coming into the season. I thought both teams had a pretty dominant roster. They can go through their schedule. I thought Penn State really had the most coming back. I thought with the high retention rating that they had coming back on their roster, that they can definitely do something with that. I figured with the coaching experience that both teams had, they were going to be able to make a run, especially with how last year was the first year of the playoffs. This is, new Big Ten. They have a little lighter schedule for Penn State. Uh, for Texas, they bring back a lot of guys going on to that SEC schedule. I didn't really think their SEC schedule was the hardest, so I figured both Penn State and Texas could kind of hold their own going through their schedule. After week 1, really week 2, that's when I flipped the script. I figured both teams were going to fall sooner or later. Penn State really doesn't look that impressive. They look very vanilla on offense for the first couple weeks of the season. Then they play Oregon at Penn State, and their offense doesn't really look like it's really catching that right momentum. It doesn't really look like it's juicing together. And you kind of seen that's kind of what led them to lose that game was they started getting hot at the wrong moments. They would have been hot from the very start, then that game could have went differently. Texas, the same thing. They defensively they've been in the ball games and all their games defensively they've been in it. They just look sluggish offensively. And they finally met their match against Florida, a defense that's probably the best in the SEC. And if they just had a competent offense for the entire season this far, it would show that Florida would have the best defense, but a defense can only do so much when your offense ain't scoring points. So, but we'll touch back on Florida in a minute. So, Texas, Penn State, glaring frauds. I don't think anybody really after week 2 were questioning if those teams were frauds or not. But when Penn State lost to UCLA, that right there, it was just such a just wow moment. Like there's no words, it's speechless. Like it just slapped you. It felt like you got slapped in the face. I'm not even a Penn State fan because the way UCLA's been playing, they have not been playing at the caliber of a top tier Big Ten school. They haven't even been playing as a caliber that they can beat a group of 5 school. Like they've been washed by group of 5 schools. So UCLA winning that game with a 0.00001% chance of happening. Like anybody predicting that struck off gold because even with how bad Penn State has played, they have still dominated lower tier competition. They were still in the game against Oregon, even though it was a home game. They should have at least won that game. That right there, anybody that at the end of the day doubted if they were frauds or not, labeled frauds. Texas, once they lost to Florida, frauds. I mean, even Texas for me more than Penn State, definitely frauds. I didn't expect them to even make another strong game in the SEC for the rest of the year. I figured they were going to come out at least 3 losses with the SEC. So those were like the 2 glaring frauds. But then you got FSU, a team that I called a couple weeks ago before the UVA game, and I stated that game against Bama was the best game that they were going to play all year. The way their defense played, their offense played, they lucked out with having a quarterback on the opposite side with inexperience that doesn't have a lot of experience on the road, and that is what catapulted FSU to win that game. Their defensive line was unimpressive when I watched them. The best thing that they had offensively was their run game. If they try to pass the ball, they were going to struggle. They don't have receivers that are playmakers. They don't have guys that are going to be that next level in the receiving core. So FSU for me was a very fraudulent team because a lot of people was considering them a top 10 team. They were considering them a team that can go win the ACC. But watching film going into that UVA game, I knew right then and there that was the game they were going to lose because they were not going to bring the same level of competition and competitiveness that they brung during that Bama game. That Bama game just had a lot of different emotions riding on it. That Bama game had a lot of talk before. So there's a lot of different factors that led into FSU winning that game. And I'll say the biggest one, player wise, personnel wise, was just Ty Simpson was inexperienced. And then it was showcased in the Miami game. If they cannot run the ball, they're going to have a hard day at the office. I mean, them performing at their best is going to be tough because once you shut that run down, they're not like other teams that can lean on their quarterback or lean on their receivers a little bit to kind of get some juice flowing back inside that offense. Once you shut them down, become one dimensional, it's done. They're grass. It's game over. You might as well just chalk it up and move on to the next game. And that's what happened. And a lot of folks are saying, well, Miami didn't run away with that game. Well, they're looking at the scoreboard because it was a 6-point ball game. But when you watch how Miami performed in the second half, a lot of teams, and especially with the way they played, aren't just going to run the score up. At the end of the day, you got to look at the rest of your schedule. You got to look at your players' health. And that's what they did. They said, well, I'm not going to run the score up on a team that I know I can beat handily because we got them beat. They could not do anything. FSU started making that late comeback later in the game. So those three teams were very fraud, fraud, fraud. I mean, however you looked at it, I figured all three teams were frauds. I knew FSU wasn't a top 10 team when they became top 10. So that's my take on the fraudulent teams. We're going to go ahead and spin this into the game day picks because for me, we got Maryland versus Nebraska. You got Ohio State versus Illinois. You got Florida at A&M this week. Can they repeat the same magic? So there's a lot of games today that I could have definitely chose for my game day picks that I could definitely go, okay, this is going to be my sleeper of the day. But for me, my game that I chose was Missouri versus Bama. To me, that right there, I have as my game day, as one of my game day picks over Ohio State, Illinois. I think this game is going to be a lot closer in score. I don't think this is really going to be an easy win for Alabama because, yes, I was talking about how Bama should have won that game against FSU, but I will state Alabama, they've been terrible against the run. I mean, even in the FSU game, even if Ty Simpson did play the way he's been playing this so far this season after that one game, it was still going to be a highly scored game because Alabama's terrible against the run. They're allowing over 100, around 150 plus yards a game. They allowed against FSU. They allowed against Georgia. I mean, Wisconsin, until they finally honed in on Wisconsin, it looked like Wisconsin could at least run the ball a little bit. So, and then Vandy, I mean, Alexander had 4 carries for 79 yards. I wasn't able to watch in the entire game for Vandy. I don't know why they turned away from running the ball with their running backs, but when you have a running back that has 4 carries for 79 yards, even if you take away his breakaway run, the man was still averaging over 4 yards a carry. So Alabama cannot stop the run, and they're about to face a running back that is the best in the nation. This is a running back that he's blown my socks off. He's impressed me. He is through and through, to me, the best running back from this year, and he's going to be the best running back going into draft. I don't think there's going to be another running back to kind of rank over him going into draft. This is the best 3-down back bruiser back that you can find in college football. I mean, give him the rock, and he's going to make magic work. And that's where Alabama's got to stop Missouri. Because if Missouri can run the ball, like these other top tier teams, Georgia, FSU or Georgia has done, because I can't really call FSU top tier. Running game wise, they're top tier. That's the thing with FSU. Running game, they're one of the best running offenses in the country. And Alabama was torn apart. Georgia tore them apart. Missouri has the best running back they will see all season. I think Ty Simpson is going to be able to make the decisions throughout the game to really pull them away at certain points. But if Hardy can keep those wheels rolling, Missouri will never die. And if uh, B if Missouri's quarterback, I always pronounce his name wrong, so if Missouri's quarterback can make some good decision makings, he's got some wheels on him too. It's going to come down. This is something I've noticed throughout this entire season. I don't know why coaches are just like faltering when it matters most, especially big time coaches. For some reason, they're trying to do more than what's needed. All they have to do, Missouri's coaching staff, all they have to do is just call the game how it is from what they accumulate with film and just stick to what works. When you find something that works, stick to it. Don't shy away from it, because if you do, Bama's going to win the game. I mean, that's just how I mean, that's what happened with Vandy. That's what happened with Georgia. Both coaches, for some odd reason, decided to go away from what was working. I mean, the ground game was working for Georgia. I do not know why you're trying to do screens on the outside. They're going to lock that up. For Vandy, I don't know why you're trusting Diego so much when you can really open up the ground game. Yes, he is a good quarterback. Yes, you want to put the ball in his hands in important moments. But at the end of the day, if your ground game is working, open up the ground game. Quit allowing your quarterback to have 12 carries when your running back should have those carries. Because at the end of the day, Diego's not a running back. Diego's not going to have the wheels and the explosiveness that a running back's going to have. Give them the ball. Lassiter is a home run hitter. Alexander is a home run hitter. Give your running backs the ball. That's what Vandy and Georgia just did not seem to understand. Stick to what was working. And I might sound a lot of hateful on Bama right now. I'm not a big Bama fan. That's why I'm kind of tearing into these teams that should have beat Bama. So I'm gonna go ahead and end this here because I'm going too long. At the end of the day, the cues that I have for this game: Ty Simpson play like he's been playing. Alabama's defensive line, they gotta stand up and stop the run. Missouri, you need your quarterback to go ahead and have his best game that he's going to have. And get to Ty Simpson on the defensive side of the ball and stick to the run, because that is what's going to win you the ball game. And I'm picking Missouri. Now, for my sleeper pick of the day, there was a lot of different games I could have chose. Florida over A&M, thought was going to be a good sleeper. You know, you probably can consider Illinois over Ohio State, or even Arizona over BYU, Utah over Arizona State. All these upset games. There's a lot of different games you could have chose from. But for me, I'm going USC over Michigan. Last year watching this game, this was very much a USC win. They just could not get the job finished. And I think this year they're coming back with a highly more explosive offense. I think they got two receivers with Lane and Lemon that could take the top off of defense. Jaden Mavava is a highly talented quarterback. I think with another year, he can even be in the conversation of top 10 in the college football, even top 5 with another good year under Lincoln. I think what they have at USC offensively is going to bring dynamite. The question is, can their defense have another top tier performance like they've had at certain points throughout the year? That's the question. They've already been tested once against Illinois. They couldn't really go the limit. Illinois, they took them to the limit. They won the game. Can USC take that experience, grow from it, and win against Michigan at home? See, they got Michigan at home. That's kind of where they went wrong last year, because they was playing at Michigan. See, with Michigan, they still haven't really geared that offense up yet. That offense isn't really juicing. But they've been doing what they've been doing for the past 4 years and running the ball better than anybody in the country. With Justin Haynes, he is going to have a home run run. At some point in this game, he's going to break off for a 50, 60, 70-yard run. That's just the way he's been playing. He has been playing as a home run hitter better than almost anybody in the entire country. And I'll say him right now is right behind Hardy. If Hardy wasn't playing right now, I would say Justin Haynes would probably be in the conversation for the best running back in college football because the guy's just a home run hitter. You give him the rock, and it's guaranteed at least one play a game. He's busting it open for almost 70 yards. So Missouri or for Michigan, they're going to have to utilize Haynes' abilities on the ground. But for Movada, for USC and Jaden, they're going to have to hone in that they're going to run the ball and let them try to be methodical. Okay, don't try to take that away from them because the thing is, Bryce Underwood, I don't think is going to be able to light you up. But if you start allowing them to get comfortable, that's the thing. But let them try to run the ball because they're going to want to run the ball to open it up for Bryce. Now you can't allow home runs. That's the thing for USC. They're going to run the ball. You're going to have a tough time stopping it, but don't allow home runs. You got to kind of play with play in their court a little bit, fool them a little bit, let them have that false hope. And then offensively, y'all are going to have to be the methodical ones. Y'all are going to have to be the ones that dictate the game. Because you're not going to stop Michigan's run. I don't see USC stopping Michigan in the run game. So you got to play with what they're best at, maneuver them around a little bit, keep them to short gains, and then on your side, when you have the ball, you got to be methodical. You got to hold the ball a little bit and just score. Just play your normal offense. So for me, I'm taking USC over Michigan. I think they just got a little bit more firepower and offense. I do think this will be turned into a close game because Michigan's already played a Big Ten team close already in Nebraska. And a game that should have been won. This is something I've stated. When it comes to coaching decisions, there's not much I've seen from coaches that've been making the right calls, and I don't know why they're trying to make these outlandish and broad ass calls when you just stick to the game that's been working. Like Nebraska could have won that game. Ooh, I'm sorry. Could have won that game if they would have just stuck to the script. They didn't. They lost. So for me, I got USC over Michigan. For my game of the day, I figured this would be a little shorter of an episode, but I still ended up running 20 minutes because I ramble for days. But my game of the day is Indiana versus Oregon. And for me personally, go Indiana. Go Indiana, go. I'm not riding with Oregon. I think they do have a solid offense, but I believe in the underdog. This is the underdog week. That's the theme of the week. Underdog week. I like what Fernando Mendiza has been doing. I honestly have him and Dante Moore kind of tied in the Heisman category, but I believe this is the game that Fernando needs to pull away in the Heisman. I believe Fernando has a legitimate shot at winning Heisman. He continues to make the right calls. He continues to put up the yardage. He puts up the points. He leads that Indiana team through the Big Ten. If he can lead them through the Big Ten, then Indiana definitely has a shot of winning the Big Ten. They definitely have the shot of producing a Heisman level quarterback. Nothing against Dante Moore. I think that offense is going to be explosive, but I just don't think defensively they're going to be. I think this is going to be a shootout game. This ain't going to be like a 27 ball game going to overtime. This is going to be a 30-point game. If it does go to overtime, both teams would have scored over 30 points, but I have Indiana in the win. So we're going to rerun what I got. Missouri over Bama, USC over Michigan, and Indiana over Oregon. The theme of the week. We're riding with the underdog. So let's tune in to some great football, and I'll catch you all next week.